Oh man, this team is hilarious. They just lost to a AHL caliber squad. I don't need to say more than that. I don't need to recap this game. They lost to an AHL squad. I can't. I really can't. I don't want to hear playoffs anymore with this team. No, man. No. I get it. Drury was already stupid enough to give guys multiple years and already give up a first round pick, by the way. Gave up a first round pick in a year that they should be selling. But yeah, I don't want to hear playoffs anymore. I just do not. You cannot tell me this team is going to be a playoff team losing games like this. Every team's going to lose games during the regular season. There are going to be bad teams you lose to. But when you need points as desperately as this team does, and you're going up against a team that does not have, forget one, two of their top centers, their top two centers, not of their top centers, their two top centers. When you're going up against that team, who, oh, by the way, already blows to begin with. Even when Crosby and Malkin are in the lineup, they blow to begin with. And you don't even look competitive in that game. Stop. Just stop. I don't want to hear anything about the playoffs anymore. I just don't. This was just another example and another display of why when they win games like they did against Boston recently, you can't walk away from the game feeling satisfied because they followed up with a similar effort. And like I said in that post-game video, this team, when they don't score on the power play, they are going to lose the game because they are abysmal at 5-on-5. It's been the story for a while now. And well, what do you know? Long and behold. And honestly, it is even more of a compliment. And I should say a compliment. It is amazing, I should say, with how bad it was that this was only 3-2. Truly, it was that bad. But Pittsburgh just couldn't hit the net at all in this game at certain points, especially the first period. This was a lot uglier than the score indicated. And that's even more of a problem. And even if they won this game, and or if they found a way where they, scored on one of those two power plays at the end and pulled a rabbit out of their ass and won this game, I wouldn't have walked away from this game being like, well, they're on track to make the playoffs. 2 points is 2 points. Does anybody want to bear this crap for an extra few games? Either way? Does anybody have any appetite to watch 82 plus additional hockey when this is the product either way? I know my answer, that I'd rather watch Juan Soto hit bombs to the Coca-Cola corner. And for the Yankee fans, they'd rather watch Aaron Judge, I don't know, maybe chase down the home run record again. I know my answer, at least. Because if the alternative is this, no. Before we jump into everything further, since I already did go on a tangent to begin with, leave a like on your way in, subscribe, turn on your notifications. If you're listening to the audio version, I would love a rating and review, which, yes, we are on audio platforms, Spotify, Google Podcasts, whatever your Apple Podcast, rather. Google Podcasts doesn't even exist anymore. I'm all over the place. But whatever your podcasting platform is, as long as it wasn't Google, because that doesn't exist anymore. Nonetheless, though, with this game, again, just terrible. And yeah, what John Giannone said: no Crosby, no Malkin, no shots or shot attempts in the third period. No problem. So where do we begin to unpack this one? Do we start with the $11.5 million man who cannot buy a save if his life depended on it? And I get that it was garbage in front of him, but he's swimming out there, man. He's letting rebound opportunities just go out all willy-nilly, nonstop. And that Rickard Rakell goal, That might have been the worst sequence I've ever seen in my damn life between both the play in front and the display of goaltending there, because you have just a garbage play by Artemi Panarin in the corner instead of just making the simple pass. Lafreniere catches up to Raquel before this puck even exits the zone. And here comes an odd man rush against. And instead of Lafreniere moving his feet and staying with Raquel, he's just in La La Land, just looking up, admiring the crowd, looking at the ladies. And here comes an odd man rush the other way. You got Igor cheating all the way to the other side of the damn net, and Raquel's just able to flip it over him. That pretty much summed up the game there. That goal, of all goals, that goal summed it up. Forget about the first goal where Matt Rempe's making a stupid cross ice pass. And then here comes Pittsburgh the other way. Braden Schneider, lay the body, please. And then Igor lets that one by him. And then the power play goal. You have Fox and Miller just running around like chickens with their heads cut off. And Igor has a clear sight of the puck. There's no screen. There's nothing. And he's letting that one in. He has to have that one. He did not play up to the par that you needed him to win this hockey game. And again, granted, the team in front blew anyway, and they had pretty much nothing going offensively the entire game. Actually, not pretty much the entire game, the entire game. Outside of the power plays they had, which even then, they were barely getting any shots off that first power play that they got in the third period or whatever it was. The one before the final power play, the second to last power play, whatever it was, I lost track. Whatever that garbage was. And none of the goals they even got in this game were really hard-earned goals to where you could be like, you know what? We're at least walking away with that, because you have Erik Karlsson just giving a happy birthday wish to Vinny Trocheck to score that one. And then Alex Nedeljkovic should have stopped that Adam Fox one realistically. If that was Igor, we'd be ridiculing him for letting that one in. So it's not like you could walk away and be like, you know what? They scored at least some skilled goals in this one. This was just a lazy effort from start to finish. Just lazy, soft, which is the term that we've used all season long to describe this group. Actually, more than all season long, but especially this season where the results are actually showing everything. And you had to juggle the lines against this Pittsburgh team. That is gross. That, like, you should be embarrassed. Juggling the lines against this team. Because that one line, believe it or not, when you're a one-line team and that line's not producing, you're probably not going to win the game. Because the middle six out for lunch. Lafreniere, Kreider, those two pick and choose when they want to show up. They're two peas in a pod. They'll show up when they please. I'm very disappointed with the way Will Cooley has played lately. That's the biggest disappointment, to be honest with you, because he was so good in the first half. And the guy that every single night, no matter what the score was, no matter everything, you could look at the box score by the end and say, you know what? Or you don't have to even look at the box score. You could walk away, though, from every game and say, you know what? Will Cooley at least gave me something. Ever since the middle of January, I'd say, he's been a no-show. It's been a no-show. That entire middle six. I mean, Vinny Trocheck was probably the only one I could look at and say, you know what, they actually gave a solid effort today out of the middle six. And even then, it still wasn't that great of an effort. It's just unfortunate because Will Cooley, I was happy with this play. But you know what? Maybe the laziness of guys like Lafreniere and Kreider are just rubbing off on him. It could just be that. Maybe it is that because you have Riley Smith too, who's just not good either. I sell him at the deadline. I'm more than okay. I've seen more than enough Riley Smith in my life to say I'm good and go ahead and move him, get a draft pick, bring Brett Berard up since he's getting healthy, and see what Brett Berard does in that role. I am more than okay with being done with Riley Smith. No interest in bringing him back. I mean, this team should be selling at the deadline anyway, and it sucks that they extended one of the assets that actually would have brought back maybe something good just because teams are so desperate for defensemen this time of year that you would have found a team so desperate to take Will Borgen, who also has not been the same since getting his extension, by the way. Disaster. Just a disaster. Trying to think of other points that I didn't even touch on in this one, but I think I hit on most of the points here. Just again, another piss poor effort, another soft, lazy effort, and JT Miller probably had his worst game since coming here. And look at how the team is when one guy alone gives just one night off. And I'm not saying that JT Miller's terrible and everything right now. I'm not saying that here comes the regression, this and that. I'm just simply pointing out he did not play a great game tonight, and look at the result. Look at the damn result. I don't understand. Leave a like, by the way, though, if you haven't already. Subscribe, turn on your notifications. I'll get to the chat and see what you guys are saying here. The one who knows the truth saying, how could he come out tonight with no urgency? It's a very good question. Jay Lewis with the $2. Thank you. I appreciate the super chat. Playing down to the opposition. Playing down to the opponent. I think that's what you meant to say. And showing laziness. I don't know where you're going with that, but I think I get your point. Yes. Thank you for the $2. I really appreciate that. But yeah, playing down your opponent, lazy, abysmal, pathetic. Meanwhile, I had to read earlier today articles from Larry Brooks about how Brennan Othman might be available for rentals. I am hoping that Larry Brooks was just high out of his mind while writing that article, because if this team moves Brennan Othman for a rental, I won't even know what to say or do. I really won't know what to say or do. It's one thing if you want to move him, because I'm not that high on Othman. I'm not entirely in love to where I'm going to blow a fit or lose my shit if they move him at all. But get someone with term at least. A rental? A rental. But no, last year, that was off limits. I believe Drury is looking for a third line center at the deadline. Better be one with term. Better be one with term, because this year's team, I mean, I obviously have concerns going forward, but this year's team especially, nah, man. No. And especially if they lose tomorrow, no. No. Because then at that point, you're even further back if Columbus beats you. You're even further back. So no. They can look for a third line center. It better be someone with term. I don't want to see it be Yanni Gord or be whoever else is a UFA after this year, unless they have intentions of extending said UFA. And even then, who are you getting then? Trent Frederick? Or are you going to pay Yanni Gord $5.5 million, $6 to $7 million, whatever it's going to cost to sign him, just to add to your collection of centers making an absurd amount of money? The only center that I have interest in that has, and he does have term, is Ryan O'Reilly at this juncture because yes, he's older. Yes, there might be regression there with the way he plays, especially, but they're already going in a direction and I hate. So if you're gonna get a guy with term, get Ryan O'Reilly because he's on a very affordable cap hit and he would bring some balls to this team. Thank you for the $5. NYR nobody. The refs tried their best to tie the game. Yeah, for the Rangers to tie the game late, and they respond with more than a wet fart. It was shit running down their leg. Terrible. But thank you for the $5. Zegras, I mean, sure, if they want to add to the collection of guys who probably won't be 16 game players, then yeah, I mean, I guess they could add Zegras, but I I just don't understand still how that makes sense. I don't, because that yet again would fit into what we talk about all the time with this team, how they don't acquire anything different from the ordinary. Like there's no versatility with the sign. I mean, Pittsburgh dominated them in transition, and they're one of the oldest and slowest teams in the NHL. But this team has no speed that they got dominated in transition. They have no two. They have, I shouldn't say no 200-foot players. They have very few 200-foot players though. This Rangers team. Zegras is not it. No way. If fans were telling me that Elias Pettersson is soft, oh, wait until you watch Trevor Zegras. If they lose tomorrow, it is over for the 2024 season. Um, and it looks like they're retooling for next year and above, not rebuilding. I mean, yeah, yeah, I can't disagree with one thing you said there. I said don't move Othman for a rental. I just said I'm not high on Othman, but you don't move him for a rental. That that would be silly. That would be just terrible. Terrible asset management to move one of your prospects for a rental when you're below the playoff line. No way. No way. That would be terrible. But what do I know? And yeah, this team is the opposite of cup contenders. Ryan Lindgren does need to go. Ryan Lindgren, I mean, his stay has been it's been way too long of a stay here. He's got to go. Crosby and Malkin out. We can't get 2 points for the game. You're right about everything, Evan. I give up on the team. I wouldn't say I was right about everything. I don't like saying that. Um, and who knows what it will be going forward. But for this season, I mean, at the very least, this season, man, yeah, they should have destroyed them, Jacob. They absolutely should have destroyed them. Anything other than a complete annihilation tonight was unacceptable. And you lose, of all things. They're going to be dead tired for this back-to-back tomorrow against an already speedy Columbus Blue Jackets team after getting run around in circles by the AHL Penguins. Yeah, I mean, if what they gave um tonight is what happens tomorrow, they're not winning. But I do expect better goaltending tomorrow. I do, because Igor has not been good this year. He hasn't. Did I see what Dan Rosen said about the Rangers and Mike Sullivan post game? Looks like they ain't that mad. I'm not sure what you're here. Dan Rosen's tweet. What did he say? Dan Rosen, everyone's favorite. Dan Rosen. Um. How he met up with the guys in the Four Nations. All right. Well, hopefully USA wins then. Would I trade Lindgren for Zegras? On the surface, it's not a bad deal, but I have no interest in Trevor Zegras. That's the problem. That's the issue here. I would do it if they flip Zegras in another deal. Othman for McTavish. Honestly, I'm not sure if um McTavish is even available. I wouldn't mind McTavish. I think McTavish is easily better than Zegras, but I can't envision Anaheim moving McTavish. Would I do it? Yeah. I just don't see that happening. There are definitely holes in his game, but I mean, I'd rather take a flyer on him because at least he won't be getting paid as much and he's an RFA at the end of the year. I have no answer to this, Dimitri. And I have no answer to this. Zero answers to that. I believe me. I I asked that question months ago. I when both those contracts were first signed, I was asking the same questions you guys are. I get it, man. I get it. I am just as annoyed about it too. Yeah, I saw this. Weeks didn't have Igor in his top 10 goalie list. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and this is it. Um, I don't want to. Yeah, playoffs now. And yeah, the Four Nations will probably be Igor's mental reset for the second time this season. Ridiculous. Yeah, and Valley was saying it too, and I was actually talking to my brother about that as well, like the math for them to realistically make it. They probably have to get 20 wins. And this is one of those games where, with how thin the margin for error is, losing this is brutal. Thank you for the $2 again, Jay Lewis. I appreciate that. Cole Sillinger from the Blue Jackets, third line center. I don't see why Columbus would move him. That's the problem. And I appreciate the $2, and I agree. I mean, I don't hate the thought if he was available, but Columbus is better than the Rangers right now. I just don't see them moving Cole Sillinger. I really don't. And yeah, this is it. This is exactly why. I mean, Drury has no interest in what the future is for this team. Why should he care when he has an owner up his ass that only cares about playoff revenue? So I get why he's doing it. It's stupid. It pisses me off. I think it contradicts what could have been last season. And again, it's stupid, but it is panic moves. 1,000,000%. And yeah, it's the Dave Dombrowski special. The ship sinking, and you're just throwing Hail Marys to try and put repairs on it. I heard this analogy, I forgot who said it, with JT Miller just being like a band-aid for this team. Like you're putting a band-aid on a water dam or putting a band-aid to stop a water leak, and it will stop some of the water from leaking, but it's not going to stop all of it. Like that's what it is. And I apologize to whoever said that. I would give credit, but I don't. I just remember hearing that from somewhere, and it was completely true. Vetrano's not available. He just signed an extension. Vetrano's not going to happen. We need flex seal. Yeah, we need flex tape. Yeah. Laviolette's been he's been horrible. He's been horrible. The fact that Lafreniere even touched the ice, and I appreciate that he skipped some shifts from Lafreniere after that mistake. He shouldn't have saw the ice for that Raquel goal. And I would have benched Kreider too. Do myself a favor and watch the Knicks tomorrow. I wish, but who knows how that's going to go too. I mean, they're playing Boston, which I have more faith definitely in the Knicks than the Rangers. That's not even a question, but I'm just saying that, they're playing Boston. That's not going to be any easy task. Okay. I can tell you right now, that's really going to that could dictate a lot of these post games going forward. So if I could watch one of my teams win a chip, that will help. That will help me a lot. And I agree. I've said this too. It's on both, Johnny Red. It's on both. I think Laviolette's been terrible at what we thought he was here to do as well. He was here to bring accountability. We haven't seen that. And sitting Zach Jones and Capo Caco and Jimmy Vesey is not holding guys accountable. We thought he was going to come in and be a disciplinarian. That's not been the case. He needs to be better, but it is sure as hell more on the players. 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%, Johnny Red. Yeah, but I need something a little more recent. I'm a little greedy right now. To be honest with you, that's not even going to save my appetite enough because I just want nothing more than it for it to be this team or the Mets to win a chip. I want nothing more. But sadly, with one of the teams, this one I'm referring to, I'm asking for the moon and the stars, it feels like. All right. I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. We'll be back tomorrow. It'll be great. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when I upload or go live. I'll see you guys in the next one.